YouTube frogs, with 3.0 coming out in HSR, we've got some juicy units to look forward to. And the first one is the emanator of Erudition herself, the Herta. So in this video, we're going to be explaining her kit in digestible fashion and demonstrating her at E0. This is going to be done on the CE server, and of course, that means that things are subject to change for full release, so keep that in mind. Let's start off with a quick guide on how the Herta works. So, her kit on paper has quite a lot going on, but it's basically just a bunch of buffs that make her hit really hard and really often. Old school Herta is all about kudu ice swings. The Herta is all about bigger number, better damage. When you first check her out in combat, you'll notice a couple immediate things. The enemies got numbers above their heads. Bigger, meaner enemies will probably have the bigger number on their head. If any of your allies attack, those numbers will go up. Second, notice how her ultimate energy also fills up a little bit after any ally does an attacking move. These two things are the only things you really need to be aware of when playing Herta. Now the juicy part comes when she ults. So her ult first is this big boom, and then immediately she gets to go again. But this time her skill is enhanced. Now when you use her enhanced skill, there's one extra big AoE boom that comes with its own fancy little animation, and it does a crap ton of damage. After that, the stacks on the primary target are reset back to 1, and you do the team rotation again. As the fight progresses, I noticed quite a bit of things that took me by surprise. I glanced at her ultimate energy and it's 220, which is extremely high, just like Firefly. The kicker here is that she basically has zero energy problems and we aren't running energy recharge rope at all. So now that we know how she works, let's go summarize the nitty-gritty of her traces. Technique. So for overworld, this basically marks treasures. And in battle, it gives Herta 60% attack for 2 turns. In simulated universe, it also deals true damage to all enemies. 99% max HP to trash mobs and 30% max HP to elite or higher. She's the creator of the simulated universe, so I guess this stuff is expected. Talent. So all this text basically just says the number above the enemies is called interpretation. When a new wave arrives, the big enemy gets 25. The higher the number, the more damage multiplier her enhanced skill gets. When you use the enhanced skill, it resets to 1. And this part down here, which is important to literally her entire kit, if you have +1 Erudition character, so at least 2 in total, including Herta, the damage multiplier doubles. This is basically where all of her damage is, besides her ultimate, so it's pretty important to meet the requirements. Skill. This does multiple instances of damage. The first hit is single target, the after hits are blast or AoE, and then the enhanced skill is called Hear Me Out. The final move here is the AoE, which consumes the stacks, does big damage, and resets the stacks to 1. Ultimate. So first, she'll combine the stacks onto the big mob to make it 42 if it isn't already, and then gives her 80% attack boost for 3 turns, scaling by level, and then does the big damage and gives 1 stack of inspiration, which buffs her next skill to Hear Me Out. She then immediately gets a free turn after, and this is where you can use that enhanced skill, or you can just basic attack. Her ultimate allows her to store 4 of the inspiration things, so you don't need to use her skill charge immediately. Obviously you can, but the option to stack them up is there. Alright, so now everything should make sense because there's a boatload of text in here, but it's much easier to show you her gameplay than explain in simpler terms. So now, the buffs. Lots of them. A2 Trace. This is where that juicy ultimate energy comes from. Each and every attack from allies, yes, that includes follow-ups, they raise the stacks of enemies, but also grant the Herta 3 fixed energy per enemy hit. So 5 enemies is 15 flat energy. Also, a 50% DPS boost if she uses her enhanced skill on a 42 stack enemy. This should be pretty free, probably don't have to think too much about it. A4 Trace. All of this text to tell you, use +1 Erudition on your team. That's literally it. If you do, you get the following buffs. Team-wide 80 crit damage. It also buffs A2 Trace to assume minimum 3 targets hit even if only 1 is hit, so she'll get 9 flat energy per attack guaranteed. Also buffs the way that the interpretation stacks on enemies. Default non-Erudition teammates will give 2 stacks per attack, Erudition teammates will give 4 stacks per attack, and Herta herself gives 5 because her skill gives +1. A6 Trace. Accumulated stacks on all enemies over time give her ultimate more damage up to 99% extra. This stack's pretty fast from my experience. First ult is usually at like the 60 to 70 range, and second ult is for sure going to be at 99. So yeah, that's basically her entire kit in a nutshell. It's honestly pretty straightforward, and she is strong as hell for Erudition. Her extra trace nodes give her 2 to 3 speed, and then also a bunch of attack percent and ice damage bonus. Talent priority. So all of skill, ultimate, and talent are very important. Skill is first priority, since all of the buffs that enhance her damage scale off of the base multiplier here. So if this is not leveled, your base multiplier isn't going to be able to buff that much. After that, ultimate and talent are both very necessary. Talent is responsible for the big enhanced nuke, the multipliers here, and then ultimate is responsible for the attack bonus. Alright, so now let's talk about her light cones. So the Herta's light cone is quite broken, to say the least. It gives her 12% crit rate, 60% skill and ultimate damage, and most importantly, it recovers 1 skill point every time a 140 energy or higher ultimate is used. For Herta, the skill point generation is quite literally unfair, because it guarantees a skill point for her immediate next enhanced skill if she uses it right after her ult. Unfortunately, no other light cone is going to come close to this guaranteed utility and also the stat buffs. But we do have some other options if you're able to be skill point conservative. We got Eternal Calculus from the store. It's a de facto stat stick, it's always usable. We also have Argenti's Signature. Has some pretty synergistic stats, providing crit damage and damage bonus conversion from ultimate energy. Herta will actually be capping out all of these since she has such high energy requirement at 220. Today is another peaceful day, is also a solid choice. It's basically a mini version of Argenti's and Stronger Refinement, but this is only available from the battle pass. So I don't expect too many people to have super high refinement. If you do have R5, it's gonna be an excellent choice for her. If you don't have any of those options that I just mentioned, you can always default to 4-star free-to-play light cones like Seriousness of Breakfast and other ones. All right, relics. This is pretty standard stuff. 4-piece Scholar set is way too synergistic for her. It's also completely pre-farmable, so definitely aim for this 4-piece set. You'll get 8% crit rate and 20 to 45% damage bonus, which is really strong. For 2-piece Planar Ornament, we're going for Izumo here. Izumo is pretty free. We have heavy synergy with her +1 Erudition requirement for that 12% crit rate, and then we also get 12% attack. 4 main stats, we got crit rate or crit damage body piece, speed or attack boots, ice orb, and attack rope. For the body piece, it's whatever stabilizes you at about 80 to 90% crit rate. Depending on the supports that you run with her, you want to guarantee she hits 100% crit rate or close enough post buff, since she already gets 80% crit damage naturally from her kit. For the rope, she has no need for ERR rope with her fixed energy generation from ally attacks, so attack rope is going to be the best for her. And then for the boots, either speed or attack are the best choices for her. It's going to be dependent on specific team setups. Speed boots are very nice because she already has attack rope and attack buff from ultimate, meaning attack boots will provide diminishing returns, and her moving faster means more self energy gen from spamming E. But there's also an equally viable argument for no speed Herta, because she gets so much energy from ally attacks and her ultimate gives her a free turn. She can be run with minimal speed and have pure reliance on passive energy regen. And also, with turn boosting, she gets more turns that way as well. Both options are really good. It just depends on what you need. And then finally for the orb, of course, ice is a no-brainer. Quick section on the Herta's recommended stat distribution. As you guys can see, we are heavy crit rate front-loaded here. We want to hit 100% crit post buffs. So sticking between 80 to 90% crit rate is optimal. We do have Izumo Gensei. This gives us 12%. So in combat for me, I'm actually going to be overcapped. I'm actually going to be 103% crit here. But you don't need to focus on crit damage. And the reason is because +1 Erudition gives 80% crit damage. Just to make sure that you guys understand that. Maximize the crit rate, get near 100%. She has a lot of damage numbers. You want them all to crit. It's pretty easy to get there. Crit rate body piece, if you can get it. Currently, my build is running crit rate body. Definitely aim for that, all right? This is obviously early access, so it's not actually my real Herta. I'm gonna be farming for that later. And then, as fast as possible, don't really worry about the attack percent here. You're gonna have attack rope, but her ultimate's gonna give her 80% attack, and you might be buffed by more attack from her supports. Really don't worry about the attack. Just get crit rate to near 100%, and crit damage to whatever you can really get. 120 is fine. The better the subset, the higher it's gonna be. That's basically it. And no need for ERR at all. Now let's talk about team comps. So as long as you have +1 Erudition and fill out the last 2 slots with a support and a sustain, you've got her perfect team comp. Her best +1 Erudition teammate is going to be Jade for her insane AoE hit count and deck collector speed buff that she could give to Herta or anyone else on the team. For supports, we have both RMC and Robin. Both of these supports have their different purpose, with RMC being direct damage buff with true damage add-on, or Robin for action forward, coordinated attacks, and attack buff. I think most of you guys are probably going to run RMC though. RMC is way too strong with her true damage buff. It's actually ridiculous. And then for sustain, it's best to choose someone with high hit count or energy generation. We have Ling Sha, Aventurine, and Huohuo are probably what I would recommend as super strong options. Ling Sha is pretty insane. Debuff cleanse, AoE attacks. Aventurine has follow-up attacks, which are AoE, but it does require you getting hit, obviously. And then shield sustain. And the Huohuo, attack buff, energy gen. All right, Eidolons. So, as expected, her front-loaded Eidolons are incredibly strong, but obviously not necessary. E1, another 50% DPS boost to the main target, and instead of resetting to 1, resets to 15. This basically enhances her single target damage by a massive 50%, and the reset stacks helps her guarantee 42 on faster ult rotations. E2, Okay, so this one is where things get a little crazy. We talked about how her base ultimate technically allows her to hold 4 charges of her enhanced skill. Well, E2 really sends this up a notch by giving her ultimate 2 charges for her and also boosting her action forward by 35% after using it. This really benefits retroactively off of E1, since with this new frequency of enhanced skills, you normally wouldn't be able to hit 42 stacks every time. E1 resetting to 15 effectively makes it 35% faster to stack, which synergizes with her 35% advance forward here. So with E2, the Herta is a lot more flexible with how she spends her enhanced skills. You can now wait for guaranteed 42 stacks every single time and use multiple enhanced skills in between ultimates for maximum damage. E3 and E5 are general talent stuff. E4 is team speed erudition. E6, so this final Eidolon makes her a hunt character literally. So her ultimate gets an insane unconditional 40% multiplicative DPS gain. This gain shoots up to 250% to 400% depending on the number of enemies left. So against fewer remaining targets, her ultimate becomes like a single target nuke, dealing 2.5 to 4 times more damage. Also, her whole kit gains 20% ice res pen for the cherry on top. As always with Eidolon investment, I think it's more worth to focus on support Eidolons over DPS Eidolons for the long run. With HSR entering a new era with 3.0, I wouldn't recommend to go super crazy here. In fact, due to its utility, I would definitely recommend guaranteeing her light cone first over Eidolon investment. Alright, so is she recommended to pull? If you can guarantee her light cone, I would say her E0 S1 combination is extremely potent. But if you can't guarantee her light cone, then it's much more risky since her SP usage can be pretty draining. Overall, her damage is exceptional in AoE, and the damage multipliers for her interpretation stacks helps a lot for single target. Let's get into some quick showcases. So we are in MOC 12 now, showcasing the slight difference between 2 different compositions that I really like. So we have Herta, we have Jade, we have Robin, and we have Ling Sha. Robin, I like to swap between RMC, and I'll show you guys the difference because 5-star limited support, and then RMC is going to be free. Everyone's going to get Remembrance MC and all the Eidolons for her as well. With RMC, we're going to have a little bit of different buff setup. So let's go in and see really quick. So in this setup, I'm going to try to leave as many enemies alive as possible, but Herta's ult may end up killing them, so we'll see. Okay, waiting for Robin. Okay, here we go. Hopefully, Herta doesn't go crazy here with the damage. Currently, pre-ultimate buff, she's at this level of stat right now. Okay. Okay, well, most of them died in that ultimate combo. Herta now is at 5k attack, and her damage bonus is plus 74%. So we did 650k there. It's pretty solid. Alright, so now we're in the same setup, but instead of Robin, we're gonna have RMC. Deck Collector, Summon Mem. Just prep really quick. Got Mem support now. Okay, summons the things. Okay, so I'm gonna pop Herta's ult here, but unfortunately there are more enemies alive. But you'll see that the damage is pretty comparable. I have 350k for a 5-man ult here, and then we have all 5 enemies alive. Currently buffed at 300% crit damage, lower attack, higher speed, and 110% damage bonus. So in this setup, with her E, 260k with true damage, 1.01 million. Now, that being said, there were, I think, 2 additional enemies, so the damage isn't really comparable. I would say it's about the same, though. Robin and RMC are giving the same amount of buffs, and you'll notice this Let Me Help You buff with RMC and Mem is actually pretty insane. One of Robin's like major things is that her ultimate gives a whole team turn advance, which is quite powerful, but RMC also has a little bit of that in the buff. So whenever you attach Mem onto someone, they immediately get to go next turn. And then they also get true damage, which is equal to 28% of the original damage. She also gets a little bit more here. If the max energy exceeds 100, for every 10 excess energy, additionally increases the multiplier of the true damage dealt. So because Herta is at 220, which is 120 excess, we're getting 2% per 10 excess up to 20%. So Herta is above 200, getting full value. So we essentially get 48% true damage bonus for Herta. And with the turn advancement, she's able to go pretty often, get a lot of energy generation, along with teammates and ults very frequently. And combined with the signature light cone, she's getting a lot of free skill points to allow her to do enhanced ease all the time. Now, the thing is, the damage difference is pretty equivalent because Robin's giving a lot of attack buff, a lot of damage bonus. So the same thing, even though we're losing 48% true damage, you'll notice that the damage comes out to be relatively similar. It was about 600k to 1 million, and there were 3 versus 5 enemies, so it's roughly average. Pretty insane. All right, so now we're back in Memory of Chaos. We're in second stage here. I'm gonna do a full auto run with one of the premium team comps. So I decided to use RMC. I prefer RMC in this particular situation because most people are gonna have her. Not everyone has Robin. Jade and Ling Sha are the premium other units for the team. Jade is the best +1 erudition you can add, and Ling Sha is incredible with her basically every single follow-up attack that she does is full AoE. Obviously, those two can be replaced with whoever you have, but the main thing here is to showcase to you guys how often Herta goes, how often she ults, and with her signature light cone, how many skill points she generates, and it's basically free. All right, so we're going to do full auto here. Debt collector is going to be on Herta, Mem's going to be on Herta, and we're just going to dish out as much damage as possible. As a full erudition team, we're probably not going to be able to zero cycle here because this is erudition, but the clear for Memory of Chaos should be pretty solid. Ling Sha's debuff cleanser is so valuable, by the way. And there's Herta's first enhanced E, 740k. There she goes again. Another ultimate. This one deal 300k into Jade's follow-up, into enhanced E, clearing the wave. Now we're on to phase 2. So far we did zero cycle phase 1. So Herta literally just ulted, by the way, and she's ulting again. And her energy is basically back to half. Boss hasn't even moved yet. Now finally taking its turn. Soul extraction. Herta's ult is almost ready again, and it should be here. There we go. So 5 targets, 700k ult into a 500k E. Herta's about to ult again. There she is. Back to back to back ults. 1.56 million to 1.2 million. There's phase 1 down. Took us 1 cycle for that. Obviously, that damage is not like true Herta damage because we are getting extra from all the breaks that we're doing, right? From the boss phasing and stuff. Ling Sha's here to heal us up, so we're not about to die. And with Ling Sha's burst, we should be good to go again. There we go. And topped up. Herta's gonna ult here. 900,000 into 1.4 million into Jade 900k. I mean, this is just the result of killing the totem pole. It's not true Herta damage, but yeah, you can see the clear speed is insane. The ults is insane. Oh, please don't one-shot me. Oh, we are close. Ah! Okay, I mean, Herta died. It's fine, though. We might have lost, but hopefully Jake can clear this up. We'll see. Oh, I think we're screwed. All good though. You know, part of the experience when you're doing full auto. Okay, so wasn't the cleanest run. Did spend 2 cycles. Herta did ult like 10 times. It's all good though. So that's MOC demonstration. I really like RMC, but you guys will probably notice that skill point usage with Jade, RMC, Herta is pretty high. So having Herta's signature light cone is really helping us out here. We're getting +1 skill point every single time Herta ults, and Herta ults maybe 1 to 3 times per cycle. All right, so one quick demonstration for Pure Fiction. We're not at the last node. I just want to give a proof of concept here. We have Ice Weakness here. It's perfect for Herta. And let's get that kit set up here and see if we have any problems. Full auto should be no problem. And also, yeah, I mean, let's just see. We have a lot of AoE in this comp, right? A lot of enemies are dying as well, giving Herta an insane amount of energy on kill. Jade's getting free follow-ups everywhere, able to ult everywhere as well. While in Surging Grit, you can gain powerful buffs with a certain action value. Alright, nice. There you go. There's Herta. Into Jade. And this into Herta's ultimate. Another AoE, 1.8 million damage with the true damage proc from RMC. This is why I like RMC is like insane for her. Actually crazy insane. The true damage is 48%, right? Herta's over 200 energy. So we're getting so much value. We also get a turn advancement as well. So Herta's acting a lot, using her burst a lot, and using enhanced skill a lot. $1.45 million ults, just normal things, into a 2.8 million E. I mean, this should be no-brainer. Erudition characters in Pure Fiction are just too easy. Like, the damage is just insane, right? So many buffs. Herta's about to ult again. Should be no surprise. We need Linkshot to cleanse the debuff. Should be acting right before Herta. Or not. Okay, we're good. Ultimate. 800k. Deck Collector. Into E. 2.2 million. With all that true damage procs. Into more AoE attacks. Into support buffs. Into Herta energy generation. Still have 2 cycles left, by the way. Alright, 1 cycle left. I mean, they're dead here. This is the last one. 40k. GG. Super simple. Like, it's not even close. It's so easy for her. Herta's basically solo carrying those things. Jade is doing a lot as well, but she can be replaced by any Erudition character that matches the enemy weakness for even more. So those are pretty interchangeable. Yeah, I mean, Herta as like the solo carry is pretty easy. She gets a bunch of free energy. She casts like 800 million times, and with RMC she's doing true damage, so she basically one-shots every single wave. All right, so those are the most important things that I wanted to showcase you guys in this early access video. Really wanted to demonstrate Herta, and I feel like in these particular situations she's pretty flexible, right? You don't need Jade, you don't need Linkshot, but they are really valuable. Linkshot for debuff cleanse and constant AoE attacks. Jade for deck collector, constant follow-up attacks, and her own AoE. RMC is just really valuable. She is SP negative like we talked about, but the turn advancement and the true damage really amps up her damage a lot. With Eidolons, which you don't need by the way, she's going to be proccing her E way more often, so get ready for that. But overall, really like the way that Herta's designed personally. I think that she is pretty strong for an Erudition character. Her damage multipliers are quite insane. It's to no surprise because her 42 stack generation from her talent gives her upwards of, 8 doubled if you have 2 Erudition. So at least 600% damage multiplier on the primary target. And this is the only reason why they do that is because they want you to be able to do more damage to those elite or boss enemies, which is what she's going to suffer with as an AoE character. Yeah, so that's basically it though. Thank you guys very much for watching. As always, things are subject to change. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Herta, and we'll see you guys in 3.0 of HSR. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.